Hello, Robert. You hungry? I didn't know what I'd find out here. I wouldn't believe the stories they're telling about you in town.
I'll pay you back for all this, I
I
promise.
didn't ask you to.
Well, I sure do appreciate you coming up to check on me.
First, I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate you giving me your time and just very appreciative of that. Thank you.
No, thank you for, asking and wanting to interview me. I don't get them that much, so, it's nice to be recognized sometimes and, maybe heard.
Yeah, well, you should be recognized because you've been putting the grind in since what, the late 90s, and you're still working and a highly successful actor today. That's awesome, man. You got to be proud of that.
It's been 33, 4 years now. Yeah. When I started, it was just, because I was watching a friend do it and it kind of inspired me. But I mean, I was inspired like at age 6, I think, when I watched Chief Dan George and, like on Little Big Man and then, what's the other one with Clint Eastwood? Yeah, Outlaw Josie Wales.
Oh, yeah.
Those are like my favorite 2 movies he was in, and just to see him up there, and then to know that my dad knew Chief Dan George and all that, it was so close, right? So,
Yeah.
but it really didn't hit me until I was 19, and I was at a audition or a photo shoot with a friend who was doing this thing, and the agent saw me, Daryl Mork. He's still my agent to this day.
Yeah.
Um, and he saw me. He said, "Hey, you want to be in film and television?" I said, "Sure." Next thing you know, I'm working and I haven't stopped. I kind of haven't stopped since. That's 30 plus years now. Yeah.
That's amazing. I was looking at your old Instagram posts. This is a while ago, and you were with Tantu Cardinal. Boy, is she something, huh, Nathaniel?
Oh yeah, no. Tantu and I go way back too. I was, I think, 15 or 16 when I first met her, and she was our the one of two teachers for this thing called Catless Theater in Edmonton, Alberta, and it was her and another woman named Ruth Smiley, and they came in and they were teaching us grade 8 students theater and drama and stuff. And what we did was we wrote a play within the first couple of weeks or something. I think was I can't remember. And then by the whatever it was, some point we performed it for the school, and Tantu played the old lady in this thing, and it was called Which Way Home. It was about a couple of kids in a group home, and they decide to leave, and all the kids want to go with them back to the res because they're talking about the bannock and the moose meat sandwiches and stuff like that, and they're just so like, "Yeah, let's go," and they find this old man who's played by me, and I drive him back to the res in a pink Porsche.
Yeah, she's amazing, and just thinking of these wonderful Indigenous actors that have really had a profound effect on movie making. We lost Graham Greene this past year, was a
Yeah.
phenomenal actor too. Nathaniel,
Yeah, no, Graham and I go back too. Like my first movie I ever did was with him. He played my dad, and he played my dad like 3 or 4 more times. And the last time was last year in 24. He played my dad on a movie called Protectors of the Land, and you just talking to him and hanging out with him. You'd think we'd see each other again, Um,
yeah, it's just life is like that, man. It's crazy. It's just crazy how that works. And you had another post. I don't mean to be going through your social media. I feel like a stalker, but I,
that's what it's for, right? The
yeah,
social media.
I had a guy. This was like maybe when I originally started, maybe closer to 10 years ago. Justin Rain,
Oh
who is
yeah.
he's a great actor. So yeah, I had all these wonderful actors that I see in your Instagram, and I'm so excited for that. I gotta tell you, how cool is it that you're in Train Dreams and Sinners? How great is that?
What's amazing is that these films are getting recognized for the beauty that they are, like the cinematography and Joel Edgerton's and also Felicity Jones on Train Dreams. Everybody actually, William H Macy, they just kicked ass in that movie, and without even really trying. I think it would not that they weren't trying. It's more of like a, even for myself, just to go into that. You could, when you read the script, it's just there. Like, the feeling and the like the and when you've done this long enough too, that it's not too hard to find that feeling of whatever it is that you need to bring across the screen, and for those particular moments in that character, right? And for me, I was doing actually Sinners at the same time, which was called Grilled Cheese at the time, which I didn't, and I was on an NDA to not know what it was actually about or talk about it, and I didn't know what it was about, but I kind of had a hunch. My scene, which was one day on set with them, which was not from 4 days to one day on set, and when I got there, we did the whole wardrobe thing weeks prior before, because I spent 2 weeks in New Orleans waiting to film, which I filmed in one day.
Mm,
And I did wardrobe already, so by the time I got there, I kind of figured it was a vampire movie,
yeah.
but I wasn't allowed to say, and but it was very cool, and to work with him, and that, like, spend that whole time with that whole crew, Ryan Coogler, and that's all I worked with, really, was just him and his film crew, and the guys that were with me in the scene, the native guys that were from the local area, Choctaws. They're actual Choctaw guys. I had to learn the language too, so I had to. The one guy riding the horse was the one who taught me how to say what I said on the screen.
Wow, wow, and that's a it's kind. I mean, you say it's only a day, and I get that, but boy, it's a pretty pretty great scene. He's kind of outlining the rest of the movie. Your character, he's kind of like saying, you better, if you see this person, you better go the other way. He's kind of straightforward like that.
I tried to warn them, but they didn't listen, right? Well, Chayton, that was the character, and for me,
Chayton.
like, we just talked about it briefly. Ryan, he adjusted me a couple of times, and that was it, really. And then he liked what I gave, in terms of the character, and for me, that was the right kind of feeling. I thought, we, as long as you're human, we're okay with you. I care for you, but if you're a vampire, I gotta kill you. I gotta kill you. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, unlike the character in Train Dreams, which is, for me, when I got that script, I read it through it, and I kind of didn't really, like, pay attention to all the details. I'm bad for that when it comes to reading a script. For me, was the the overall picture was for myself, and the camaraderie between me and the character, right? So that's all I was reading, because really I'm not anywhere else in the script except for with him, and that's it, right? And it's just this dynamic for between him and I, and for me, I feel like naturally I bring my nice guy to the screen in real life, my real life, who I am, to the screen, because I do care, and that, but I've learned to, harness it right here too, right? Instead of, in for film and television, to put that across and stuff, to bring that to for the camera. And for me, it's not hard for me to just be kind and gentle and thoughtful, and have empathy and sympathy, that, and for that character, that was all that there, it was full of it, So for me, I was just like, you know what? I just like this guy. I'll just, I know him from, even from afar. I've seen his wife and his child. They've come to town. They came into the store many times, things like that. I know them. We've talked. I've hung out with them, give them free stuff, And in our culture too, as Native people, we're not poor in any shape or form. And we always thought that the money thing was a colonialism thing that keeps you tied and bound to something that is not even really there. When the land and the trees and the air are right there and the water, that's real. Money is not real. And so when you care, even caring, sympathy, all those things, those are real, you know. And I think that's what I try to come across more as than the wealth or the any of that stuff, right? It was the my feelings that I cared for this man, in
Yeah,
that sense.
yeah. That is
But
such a
in a manly
great.
way, though, back in those days, right? So that was the other adjustment, trying to think, okay, what would my great great grandfather be like, if I
Mm,
did have one back in the day and he owned a store for, and
mm,
because I saw my grandfather too. It kind of reflected me, the way my grandfather was with non-natives, and if you will, when we drove around, and he was a certain way around people. Like he had this, I guess, he was like he was at attention. He was like there. He's like, you could see that people respected my grandfather. People, they shook hands. They looked in each other's eyes and talking and stuff, laughing at little jokes. Little jokes at first. Then they talk about the business. Then everything. Okay, see you again. Yep, later. Bye.
mm.
Whatever. And so that for me, that kind of made me think about back in those days, how would one would react, you know especially in those kind of times when there's so many misconceptions and the Hollywood stereotypes and stuff, and things like that. That's why I too, in wardrobe, I said I wanted to wear a suit of some sort, and they gave me a suit. They gave me the
Mm,
hat. They gave me the boots. I said no, no, not much. Anything native. I'm already native as it is. You can see it in my face. You can see my hair. And they always gave me was that little medicine bag. That's all you see. So
yeah,
for me, that's native enough for me to portray that that I am, and I don't want to. But when you see me in the jacket and everything else, and the feather and the cap, that
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know where to start with Jack because first he broke my heart in all the best ways possible. Like every time I see him on screen, he's doing something so favorable to humanity. I want to ball right now just talking about it. He's such a wonderful character and he's such a sweet man. But before I get there, I do you mentioned this. I do see, I mean, I don't know you personally, but I absolutely believe that he is you and vice versa in many ways. The kindness, the empathy. I see that just from talking to you for 13 minutes and 30 seconds. I see it. So I maybe that's why it's so believable. Maybe it's because you've been in the grind. Maybe it's all of the above. But boy, Nathaniel, you made Jack come alive. And there's so much I love about him, and I can't wait to dissect him a little bit with you. But he in a movie that is founded in sadness, and I mean that in a good way. The moments he has with Robert are just awesome. They're just awesome.
Thank you. I was going to mention though with me bringing my stuff to the table in this movie. I really have to talk about Joel as
Yeah.
as my opposite in this, and I mean, of course, and he made it so easy for me to be that way with him, and mainly because if you ever met the guy, I don't know if he's like that for real. I don't know, but he feels like he is, and he feels genuine. Like and when I met him, I felt like I knew him years already. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and when we did our scenes together, it was just, like it was like I knew him. Like just looking at him, talking to him, we were like, these scenes, and I felt that connection, and that for me makes a difference when I'm trying to deliver something, and talk to somebody and see their reaction, and because I feed off of them when I'm talking, and I can see where they're going, in their eyes, where they're, and I can see in their facial expression, and I that makes me adjust myself too,
Yeah.
into the what they're and like so then it and then when you get there it just gels, right? And then you get it, and once you find it, it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I feel that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, let's go with that again,
Yeah.
let's do that again one more time, let's just, but this, I'm gonna do it this way, it's like, so and for me I think that's like I think that's important between chemistry with actors, especially I mean I've done this a long time now, and and I was on a couple of TV series, and I really learned from those, just even just like placing yourself on in a spot and not moving your damn face and just your mouth moving, and just your eye moves, stuff like that, it's like that makes the difference besides moving around and trying to say stuff, and your head's going like this, it's not the right movie sometimes, right?
Right.
Sometimes you just got to be still and just talk,
Yeah.
or at certain angles. Whoever's directing, right? You get the sense from them usually.
Yeah. Is your character's full name is Ignatius Jack? Do I have that right? Did I say that right? Is it
Yeah,
Ignatius?
no, that's his name on the screen. I
Yeah. Okay.
really got his full name. We talked about it, but we didn't really go too much more than that.
One of the things you're credited with, both by people that have seen the movie on Reddit, by critics, is the way that your character he does two things remarkably. Forget the discussions, because those are awesome too. But your character does two things that just melt my heart. He's an awesome listener, and your facial expressions. You're kind of a secret scene stealer a little bit, Nathaniel. You kind of steal scenes, and it's just the way those two things happen. The listening, because he needs to get it out, and you're the person, you're the guy, and then the way you just your expressions on your face, it's this endless empathy and kindness. It was one of my favorite, if not the favorite part of Train Dreams for me.
Oh, I love that scene. For me, that was a nice day too to film. It was a
Yeah.
beautiful day, and wow, yeah, no, that's we did that whole hunting scene. We went through it, and that whole like just being there, and like uh, just the way Joel was, like for me, it just kind of went into that, and it felt when he broke down, it was just like I could do a million different things. What do I do? Like just let him do his thing and let him cry and get it out. You know, and that was because in these kind of situations you can do a choice of going over and like and trying to like say console him, say it's okay, bro, it'll be fine, or just or get weirded out, or and for me I just thought, okay, I would think I would just just let him have his moment, go stand over here and just look at how beautiful the scenery is, and come back to it and say, well, you good, let's go skin now.
Yeah,
you know
I wanted to read a quote for you, if you don't mind, from Clint Bentley. That moment where Jack and Robert are sitting around the fire, chit chatting and dozing off together. I could have sat there all night. We were filming that scene at a place that had been wiped out by a medical lake fire a few months earlier. We were in the midst of this tragic place in this bed of ash, and yet we were filming this wonderful moment between two friends. It felt so special to film, and those are the things I hold on to. You can't stop tragedy from coming in your life, but you can hold on to these moments. Holy shit, is that accurate? And that, whatever you wanted to say, Nathaniel, to compound that.
Wow, I mean, thank you, Clint, for saying all those. For me, I felt that too in that scene with like that. I think that was another scene. My favorite scene was sitting around the fire and with the dogs, and just having a little chat, and falling asleep, and all those things. It was nice moments. Just the lighting of it too made me feel like I was actually out camping and stuff. We were out in the fire, and it was kind of chilly that night too. But I had a lot of layers on though, so I was fine. And I'm sure Joel was layered up, and we just toughed it out and just went through the night into the night. It was a night shoot too, so we didn't shoot too much into the late into the night, but I think it was starting to rain at one point, so we had to get out of there anyway. So yeah, anyway, but just the connection, like I said before, Joel is just amazing to work with. I felt like we can do any kind of movie together. We can do an action swashbuckler, buddy cop show, whatever, an old western, Lone Ranger and Tonto, whatever.
uh,
I've seen him act. I love his work really. I think he's a really good actor. So and he showed it to me.
yeah, terrific. When you finish filming that campfire scene, do you know when you wrap that you've done something special that really hit a home run?
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
So when you wrap that scene, Nathaniel, the scene with the campfire, the one that the director was talking about, and you're finished shooting, do you realize that you've created something special? Do you realize when you wrap that, wow, that was one powerful scene?
I just was probably thinking of going home at that point, and I didn't really put. I'm like that though. I always show up and I do my job, and then I
Yeah.
just leave. Because I don't know where the movie's gonna go at that point. I don't really think too far ahead. All I know is that that my chemistry with Joel was good, and that's all that mattered to me, and that I pleased the director. He liked it. He didn't have to adjust me much at all, and I did one, two, three takes at the most. That's the life of an actor. When you go on a set, you want to go there and nail your scenes and get the hell out of there, right? It's like I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
go home and that's all I can think about when I'm away. Like especially if I'm on location, I got to be away from my wife and my cat. Musquaw wherever he is. He usually comes and steals the scene, but he when I'm away from home, that's the only thing I think about is going home. Getting
yeah.
back to my cushy little place here and hang out and do nothing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Nathaniel. Where do you think, why do you think Jack shows Robert this kindness? Why is he showing him all of this? Like, he doesn't have to. And truth be told, everybody's struggling. And he's probably struggling too financially, right? He sees him, he gives him a rabbit, he sits around the fire, he listens to him. They fall asleep by the campfire, just telling stories, arguing about how this animal, this dog might have been created or not created. And they have these buddy moments. You mentioned buddy cop. I would argue that this is a buddy movie, no matter what environment it would have been in. But let me ask you, why does your character Jack? Why does he go to these lengths?
I think like I was mentioning before, I don't know. Even in our, I think it's a part of my culture and our
Yeah,
culture, and in terms of Native people, and especially with my people, the Nahiawak people, which are also known as the Cree. We're Plains Cree, and I've seen nothing through the years in my when I've seen the interaction of nothing but. Generosity and and always leaving the door open or giving the jacket off your back to somebody who needs it more than you do kind of thing and like money is important but it's not like the end of the for us. It's like if the world ended and we went back to the old ways, native people would be fine because
yeah. Good
we'd
point.
go right back to the way we used to live. It's embedded in our DNA. And for me, I know that I can live without it. And but the one thing, like I said before, is about human emotions and human empathy, human sympathy. Those are what mostly count. For me, my relationship between you and I, my relationship between my wife and my cat, even, and a tree, even. I treat the tree just as good as anything else living, and they do live. Or the ground that we walk on, the air that we breathe. So for me, I think in terms of just being that way, I think it's natural, that we naturally care for life itself, and when we see that's where it's needed, that's where we put our focus towards, something that needs nourishment, something that needs help, maybe to be fed, you know, when I feed homeless people all the time without even thinking about it, because I saw somebody and I went into a restaurant, and then first thing still in my mind, I'm going to feed that guy before I get in my car and drive away, you know. And I
Mm,
don't, it's like, can I give you some money? No.
mm,
Why?
mm,
Here, it's
mm.
like, I owe you. No, you don't.
Yeah,
Take it, go,
yeah.
have fun.
To
You
to
know,
add, yeah,
it's just where our nature really, and I think that's what I brought across to that character for that. You know, is
y-
that it was in the script anyway, right? That Ignatius Jack is just, you know, cares. He
yeah.
just
Well, you brought it next level, and what adds to your point, what you just said is he even says, the entire town is saying the worst things about him, probably gossip, but not Jack. Jack is still seeing it through, almost like it's his duty. I don't know. I keep saying this, but when I sit and think about this film, it's Jack that blows me away as much as any of the characters. It's a kindness that I'm not used to seeing on screen that looks so genuine and so real. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah, no, it's a thank you for that. And for me, like Jack is just the guy who just cares, and he won. I just wanted to bring that genuine, you know, generosity or sympathy, empathy, like I said, and it felt right. You know, it just felt right to be that way for this character, um, and I didn't want to be stealing anybody's scene. I'm always a team player. I like to, you
yeah,
know, and for me, it's not about stealing scenes. I just want to add to what I need to add as my whoever I am, and if I did good, then thank you. You know, that's I can't judge myself ever. I never judge myself. And any time I look back at a lot of stuff I've done, and I go, I suck, and people go, no, you did good. I go, no, I did. I hate the way I look. You know, so I'm the worst person to judge myself ever in terms of acting or anything like that. Yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask. That's for sure.
well, people can ask me. I'll tell them the truth. So
Thank you.
I have a few more questions, Nathaniel. Thank you for all this time. I really appreciate it. Nathaniel, what does he struggle with more? Robert, do you think Robert struggles with the fact, obviously, losing his wife and daughter are tragic enough? Is it the fact that he wasn't there for them, or could have stopped it or protect them? Do you think that was where the root of his sadness is coming in?
I think that's probably the biggest for him, was not being there for them,
Yeah,
most, like by far the most that affected him in that sense, because he knew that they needed the money, and it was just to buy things, I guess, you know. But really they had everything right there, you know. And he could have maybe stayed home and found something local, you know, and fought, you know. But it's tough, you know, like in those kind of days too. And the world's changing so fast, like we don't know anything about that world at all, you know. Like but all I know is that I'm sure there was plenty of land and other means to do and go elsewhere and find work. And but I think his biggest dilemma is, you know, throughout after losing everything, was that he probably wishes he would have just stayed home and just stayed there, and he probably could have saved the family and gone somewhere new anyway. And yeah, it's tough, you know. Like for I think for anybody in those positions, like I don't know, it's, you know, like it's what if, would, shoulda, coulda, you know.
yeah.
Um, uh even like I was just talking about that too. It's like, man, you know, how many times I wish I can go back and change the way things were with me and my own, you know. uh so those that movie really makes you think about life itself too, right? Just that, just having a family and what work you do, that like how much time do you actually spend with your family and your children, and did you go do these things with them? Did you, you know, that's I think family is the most important thing, that this movie has pointed out, that family and your loved ones are the most important things in this world, and you should stay close to them and be close to them, and always, you know, want to be at home with them, you know. And then I don't know, like if you whatever work you do, maybe make sure you can include them in that too, and they can be part of it, I don't know. Like today's world is so screwed up and it's chaotic right now, and and that life was so much simpler. I would love to go back in that time and have those decisions too. Little decisions, like
Yeah, that's so beautifully said. Let me ask you this. So, I've been dying to ask you this. So we watch your character. He kind of comes and goes. We watch the dogs, which I got to show a couple of pictures that, if you don't mind, before you go, I want to show a couple of those pictures. They're so
oh
awesome.
sure.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, like Jackie comes and goes, but there's never a goodbye. With the dogs, we see them, and then there's never a goodbye. And then Carrie Condon's character, I forget her name, she kind of comes and goes. There's never a goodbye. I don't know if that was intentional by the director, kind of saying, hey, that's how life works. We don't have a chance to say goodbye. Like I don't. I was trying to figure that out. Like, was I supposed to not like? Do you know what I'm talking about, or am I just losing my mind, Nathaniel? I feel
I
like I'm.
think you're right, and it might have been an intentional thing from Clint. And now you're making me think, was that in the script? But for me, when I was thinking about the way we say goodbye. We don't say goodbye. We always say we'll see you later. You know, and then
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
instead of like goodbye, you always say see you later. You know, and
yeah,
that's a way of saying instead of it's being final goodbye seems final.
yeah,
Whereas see you later, we'll see each other again, even in spirit, maybe,
yeah,
wherever,
yeah,
but it's always like that, see you again, so it's
yeah,
never final, so I think even when you just walk away and just kind of just see you later, kind
yeah,
of thing,
yeah,
that's what I did, I just walked away, just
yeah,
that was
yep,
it.
yep. Nathaniel, talk about this guy.
Yeah, that's
How
yeah, that was Ignatius Jack and his little puppy dog.
was that? How great was that? Was that dog? I think that's an Australian Shepherd, just or it could be a Border Collie. I don't know, but
I
how great
think
was that
so.
dog? Was that?
Oh, there was about 3 or 4 of them, and they were all just amazing little dogs. We had such a great time with them. They were out acting us. That was how good they were. Like that dog just sat in my lap. He did what he had to do and be there. And then when the camera cut, he ran off and did his thing.
Yeah,
It was pretty weird. They
he-
knew when to act and do their thing.
yeah. Any temptation to bring him home to your cat and have a second a being in your household? Because I know I would have taken him.
I think I did text or call my wife saying we might have a pet coming home.
Let me ask you this, Nathaniel. Why do people love this movie so much? Why does this movie really hit a chord with people?
Ah, wow. I think it's just how simple it is and how the whole the it's just about nature itself and emotional. Like it just like the way the way the story's told too, and listening to what's his name, William Patton, Will
Yeah, yep,
Patton,
yep.
Will Patton,
The narrator. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
narrator, and his voice just matches the movie, and really it's everything. It's the way the cinematography, the music, that's and just the subtlety of it all, like without big giant shots or anything, just nice little shots, like nice close-up shots of nature, things we take for granted, sorry, things we take for granted in life, I think a lot, and that's just nature itself and the loss of it, maybe, you know. I think that's the one thing people realize is how much we've lost since those days, and it's just in not only as trees but in humanity, just being part of nature itself and knowing what nature felt like. None of us don't have a clue. Like I'm glad I don't know how old you are, but when I grew up in the 70s, and I think I got the tail end of wilderness and what it felt like, and then after that no more. It's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. Nathaniel, I think we're close in age. I'm 52, so I think we grew up in the same time period. Like you and I are
Yeah,
both solid Gen X members, I think,
yeah.
our
I'm
generation.
54, so
Yeah, we're right there. Let me ask you, did you spend time, I hope I pronounce this correctly. Kotanai, am I saying that right? The tribe. I thought I read where you spent time with the tribe to get a feel for Jack's character, or am I just making all that up?
well, I did talk to some people, in a sense that were locals around there,
Okay,
but
I thought I
I,
read that somewhere where you spent time with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind because I
I,
probably.
no, though I know it's true though. I do spend some time with the locals when I have to portray a certain tribe or people, because like I said, I'm Nahiawak, and this is a total different,
Yeah,
native tribe of all sorts. So, for me to go and talk to an elder from that tribe is not unusual. So, and that's part of my ways anyway, too. I've learned that from a long time ago. And when I was doing my first movie, my big movie back then was called Gray Owl, and
great movie. That was Pierce Brosnan, right?
yeah, and I played
Yeah,
his buddy in there, and it was directed by, at the time, I think he was still Sir, or maybe he was Lord, but I can't remember. But he was directing, and Richard Attenborough. And one thing in our culture is that when we go to any elders, we think they're elders. We bring them tobacco and a print and a rock, of some sort of a prayer rock. And I brought all this to Richard Attenborough, and he was so impressed. And at the end of the interview and everything and the callback, he said, "You're our Ned. You want to be our Ned?" I was like, "Yes."
and it's such a
Anyway,
it's such a classic. Oh my god, that movie is such a classic.
yeah, I mean, he wasn't part of any native culture, but that's what I
Right,
do.
right.
I bring the offerings usually to the people, and I talk to the elders, and we just go over what, like, usually a lot of times they talk about stories about their people, and what they gone through, and maybe some heroes of theirs, and or folklore tales, anything that is part of their culture, and just to get into my head, and then and then from there, I find the connection between our people and theirs, and then we go from there, and then that makes me more get more into their people's ways, especially the way of talking, and the way they say words. I did this one movie or TV series called Into the West. I don't know if you'd watched that. It was,
I've heard of it. Yes, of
yeah,
course. Yes.
early 2000s, and it was with a bunch of native actors, and it was, it was cowboy, Civil War kind of, or black, gray coats, blue coats, gray coats, whatever, and it was about Sitting Bull too, I think, Sitting Bull and his people. So anyway, I played the son of Sitting Bull, and but we had to learn all this Lakota dialogue, and so I learned all these lines, everything, and I'm like, okay, I got it down finally. It's like, woof. It's not easy learning somebody else's language, right? And even though you don't even know your own language that well, you're learning somebody else's language. You're like, So anyway, I got it all down, and when we got to set that day, some person comes out, "You guys, you got to relearn all your dialogue. What you were learning was female dialogue, female dialogue." And we're like, "What?" Yeah, so now the D's are do, no, or do's or D's, and all this stuff you was there, and this, and I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Oh
Oh
no."
man.
I,
Oh
I I literally learned my lines again in half an hour. I
yeah.
had
Oh my god.
I had to sit there and go through my lines, and I had like half an hour to get on set and do my stuff. And luckily, it wasn't too much of a change, but I still had other scenes later on, so I had to relearn everything in Lakota and male Lakota. So it is important to learn, the right language that you're talking if you're gonna do it on screen.
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah, uh, Train Dreams was nominated for a couple awards today. Joel was nominated for one too. I can't help but feel you were a part of that, and I'm sure he would say the same. It's a total team effort. And yeah, it's just one of the more beautiful movies of the year. It's just, and you're a big reason why, man. You should be so proud of yourself. And I know, I get it, you don't like taking credit. I will do that for you, but
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm very happy that they're getting on recognized. I saw that they sent something to me. I also saw that Sinners is up for some awards as well. And
yeah,
like both of these movies, I'm just happy to be part of them, man. I was like, it was a fluke, really. I don't know if I say a fluke. My wife said, "No, you got those because you deserve them." I was like, "Oh, I feel like I fluke out sometimes," but but at the same time, I've been doing this long enough, and I think I feel like my foot's only in the door still, and I really want the big stuff too. Yes, and I'm the only sad part is that they didn't give me more, especially in Sinners, like more scenes and more
yeah,
things. And I think in Train Dreams, I think I had just enough scenes in there that made a difference for me. That it was perfect, and like I said, it's a story about Joel and his character Robert, and it's a beautiful story, well told, and for me to just be involved with that was, I was just lucky to be there.
yeah. You're terrific. Is there anything you wanted to throw out there, Nathaniel, about your social media or projects around the corner? Anything you wanted to get out there?
Oh well, I do have a couple of shows coming down the way here soon. But really, you can always find out about me on Instagram or my Facebook. I don't like to divulge too much about things that are neither here nor there yet, or I always people always say, what are you doing next, what are you doing next? I'm like, well, we'll see. This
Yeah,
industry is really like a roller coaster, and one day you're up and the next day you're looking for another job, another gig, and it's just so hard. And if you're not like Tom Cruise with $1 million and you can make 5 movies in a row, and or this and or those, the new A-listers, they're getting all the work, and all these studios are just, they got their picks already, and they're just hammering away at these movies and stuff. Then the guys like me are just lucky to get the, little scenes, whatever we can get. And it seems nowadays, especially with the tariffs and all the other things going on in this crazy world. And so it's a matter of just hanging in there. Hopefully that's all it's going to be, hanging in there. And then something, the flood of movies and TV shows would come again, and all this actors would be working, and going, woo,
yeah.
piling up my credits. It's tough, but there are things coming, and I do have one movie I did not long ago. It's called Life Less Empty. It's directed by a guy named Ruben Martell, and he's more of a horror movie kind of guy or a director. But he started this drama that I was supposed to star in 20 somewhat years ago, maybe, or I don't know how long ago it was, maybe less than that. And I was, the right age for the character. But now, years later, and then he called me last year. He goes, "We're going to do this movie now." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm not the right age." He goes, "Well, I wrote you in as the uncle, so you're in it now." And I'm like, "Yes."
Oh, that's awesome.
So
That's
I'm
great.
the uncle in this movie, and it was fun. It's kind of drama. It's a bit comedy. It's a bit of everything. It's real life, and it's for me. I think it's a nice little movie, and it stars Nathan Alexis and a girl named Tatiana Baptiste, and a couple of the other actors and myself, and we had fun.
Mhm.
Another show I'm on is called Bon Cop, Bad Cop. It's a readapt. It's a TV series made from a movie filmed in Canada in the early 2000s, called the same name, Bon Cop, Bad Cop.
Mhm.
And I had this scene in there where I play a chief, and it's a kind of a murder mystery kind of show. So check it out if you can. It's I don't know where it's going to be shown. I don't know, some French Canadian channel. I don't know.
You're if people want to know anything I'm talking about, if they haven't seen Train Dreams yet, I'm pleading with people, please, please, please take a look at Nathaniel's work in Train Dreams, and you'll see everything what I'm saying today has been totally true. I will end with this. Your rapport with Joel reminds me very much. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, Wind River, with Jeremy. Oh
Renner.
shit, Jeremy Renner, and he's in Yellowstone. Oh my god,
Gil Birmingham.
Gail Birmingham. Yes, it reminded me very much because both were going through this sorrow. And it was just, it was being that kind, compassionate friend. I don't know. Maybe that's a reach for me to say, but it reminded me very much of that scene in a
No,
lot of
no,
ways.
I love Gil's work, and I love that movie was actually pretty cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, I actually auditioned for that role, I think. So I can see why they picked Gil. Gil's more of that type of character, like like when I see movies and I audition for, and I go, why didn't I get it? And then I look at the actor they picked, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see why, because it's usually about the other actors too around and stuff, and then you see why, and even height, man, it matters, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
6 foot tall, and pretty thick, right? So I'm 600. I'm 6 feet, 200 pounds, muscle, and full of muscle. Um,
Yeah.
I got
They
a
got
big head. My head is huge, and
it.
like you got to put me around the right people with other people with big heads.
Yeah, yeah, man, Nathaniel, you rock, and I can't thank you enough for this time. You are such a fun person to talk to, and I'm just so appreciative. I get to have talent like this change my life when I watch this show, and just I love movies. I think they're just so wonderful, and it helps to have actors like you taking a part in them. So thank you for that,
Well,
Nathaniel.
thank you, Derek. That was fun, man, and I appreciate it. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You too, man.